Today I am coming to you from one of the most ridiculous, absurd automotive enthusiast paradises in the world. This is the Bonneville Salt Flats. So, what are the Bonneville Salt Flats? Well, they're a giant open piece of salt, dead flat in the middle of nowhere in Utah, famous in the automotive world for speed. Many of today's land speed records have been set here by jet-powered cars that can go 600 miles an hour. Nowhere else in the world is the land this flat for this long with this few encumbrances around that you could possibly hit. Don't be fooled by the fact that I appear to be in the middle of nowhere. This is the land of speed. But whether you're here for an event or you've just showed up like me, one thing is for certain, this place is absolutely insane. One reason it's insane, look at the terrain. Here I am, and here's the car, and behind us over there, nothing. And 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 over there, nothing. Basically, all that's here is a lot of salt and absolutely no elevation changes. In fact, the last time I came to the Salt Flats 3 years ago, I was told to be careful because some people get so far out onto the flats, they can't remember how to get back and they get lost. Apparently, there have been people who died out here when their cell phones couldn't get service and they couldn't figure out their way back to the main town. Now, I'm here for one obvious reason. I want to see how fast I can drive this thing on salt. Now, let's talk about speeds. I came through here 3 years ago on my Cadillac CTS-V wagon road trip. A few of you may remember that. Now, at that time, I got out here and I had no idea what I was doing, and I just put my foot down and went, and I got to 151 miles an hour on salt. My goal this time is to do better than that. But first, let me show you around the Salt Flats. Now, if you haven't been out here before, you're probably like me and you're probably wondering what the surface is like. Well, actually, it's a lot like tarmac or pavement. When it's dry, your car will never sink into it and you can't really meld it. You just drive over it. And if you try to kick it with your feet, you won't get anywhere. You can't get into it at all. Now, if it's wet, it becomes sort of more mushy and mobile, and you have to try to avoid it if it's wet. The very famous event out here, Bonneville Speed Week, has been canceled several of the last few years because the salt flats were too wet to actually drive on. And then there's the effect this stuff has on the cars. I've only been driving out here for about 5 minutes and it already is caked on my fender liner, my tires, my wheels. It's all over the place. The second you leave the salt, you have to go and wash off your car because one trip to the flats is like driving around a Chicago winter. Here's something else you find interesting about the flats if you've never been before. You don't just drive out here and start going. Even though salt looks like salt, some salt is better than others. When they do the Speed Week trials out here, they actually have a long, giant section of salt that has been smoothed out, flattened out to create a track. If you just drive randomly around the salt, it'll be really choppy because the salt can sometimes form little mounds all over the place. So you can go fast, but you can't go anywhere near as fast as you would on, say, an interstate highway. If you were to go onto the tracks, like I'm going to do in a minute, that's where you can pick up the real speed. Before I get started, I want to clear up two common misconceptions about this place. Misconception number one, that you have to come out here during Speed Week, or that the access is restricted, or that you have to get some special permission to drive on the flats. Not true at all. They're about an hour and a half west of Salt Lake City. Exit 4, you get off the highway, you drive down the Salt Flats Road, and then you just drive right out onto the flats. Anybody can do this at any time for any reason. Misconception number two, a lot of people think it is illegal to be out here, but it is completely legal to be out here. There are no speed limits, and you don't have to worry about crashing into anybody else because you can see for literally miles. The Bureau of Land Management grants permits for certain speed trials, but for regular people like me, you're on your own. And the Bureau of Land Management's website is very clear about this point. It says something like, you're out there at your own risk, and remember, you might not have cell coverage. Oh, by the way, don't start wandering around because you might never return. And so now that you've learned everything there is to know about the flats, I think it's time to take this car out and see what it can do. All right, here goes. Now remember, my goal here is to get to a higher top speed than I did when I was in my Cadillac CTS V-Wagon, which was 151 miles an hour. So I'd be thrilled if I can just get to 152 miles an hour. This car supposedly tops out at 179, but I'm not going to get anywhere near that speed because it scares me. There's a little water out here today. You can kind of feel it and hear it. The interesting thing is, it's just like going over a puddle. You'd think you'd get stuck. That was my biggest fear initially, but it's not like that. God, this is crazy. I'm driving on salt. And then I got to the smooth tracks and I lined up for my speed run. I was incredibly nervous. All right. Start to slip a little, but we won't soon. Can't believe they run on this. Come on, Aston. Come on, buddy. Come on, pal. 119. Come on, you got this, buddy. You got this. 130. It's pretty fast. Come on, pal. 44, 45. I gotta stop. I'm already going way too fast. I'm coming up to the end. Damn it. Oh my God, that is the most stressful thing because the ground is loose. But the thing is, it doesn't really matter. You could spin a little, you could slip a little, and nothing's gonna happen to you. It's not like you're gonna have a problem. Oh my God, that was creepy. That was scary, but I did it 145 miles an hour on the salt. Wow. I just got a front brake pads low warning. Yeah, I mean, if it's ever gonna come on, I think it would be after a 145 mile an hour run. Well, we didn't quite get up to the CTS-V's speed of 151 miles an hour, but I'm pretty happy with 144, 145, and I guess now it's time for me to buy brake pads. Either way, this was an incredibly unbelievable experience. And I know people are gonna say, well, you can do 150 legally on the Autobahn in Germany, but there's just something about doing it out here in this otherworldly landscape with no one else around, driving 150 miles an hour on salt. For more of my thoughts, click the link below to check my column on Auto Trader Oversteer.